MMA fighting, we stand and unite.
Chael Sonnen announced that Gilbert Burns is retiring. He says, Gilbert Burns, by the way, I know he's in the rankings, but he's no longer in the pool. He has officially retired from the sport. That angered Gilbert Burns. The level of disrespect, Chael Sonnen, why I never expected that from you. Still at this number, 503-754-0207, calling you to see what's up. So he wants people to harass Chael Sonnen because he says it's not true that he's retiring. Someone asked if it was true that he's retiring, and Burns said no, he is on drugs. Burns lost to Sean Brady in his last fight, and he's ranked number 8 in the welterweight division. Aljamain Sterling, coming off his loss to Movsar Evloev, wants to take on Arnold Allen next. He wants to do it in March in London. That's March 22nd fight night card. It's not a bad call out. Number 7 versus number 9 in the featherweight division. Arnold Allen was looking to get on this fight card in London. That was his plan. He was looking to fight upwards, though, in the rankings against a guy like Yair Rodriguez, but if that doesn't happen, he may take this fight with Aljo. If Ilya stays at 145, he'll probably take on Volkanovski next in Spain, and Diego Lopez, number 3, might be taking on Josh Emmett March 29th in Mexico City. If Topuria moves up to 155, that's 2 of the top 4 guys in the division moving up to 155, Topuria and Holloway, who's also gone from 155. That would kind of suck for Holloway. He moves up after losing to Topuria, and Topuria may move up too. If Topuria moves up to 155, the guy he's eyeing to fight first is Charles Oliveira, and Khabib thinks that Topuria could beat Charles. It would be an interesting fight. There are a lot of great options for Topuria at 155, and that's something the UFC and him have to figure out soon. Is he going to stay at 155 or move up? One Championship shows 172 is going to be headlined by Takaru versus Rodtang flyweight kickboxing super fight. That's Sunday, March 23rd at the Super Saitama Arena in Japan. Tickets can go on sale in Japan December 20th and globally on January 11th. The co-main event of the card is Moraes versus Wakamatsu for the flyweight title. They fought in 2022 and Moraes won that fight, so this is a rematch. Moraes is most famously known for knocking out Demetrius Johnson also in 2022. Colby said he didn't have a full training camp for Buckley because he was campaigning for Donald Trump. He was getting Donald Trump ready for the election, and Chael Sonnen said he would have thrown in the towel if the doctor didn't stop the fight because the cut was bad and wouldn't allow Colby to see out of one of his eyes. Dana White was asked what fight he wants to see most in 2025, and he says it'd be Aspinall versus Jones. That's what my job is, to get the fans what they want, and that's what the fans want. Hopefully they can do that sooner than later, regardless of whether they can make it or not. Hopefully the decision gets done sooner than later, because Aspinall's wasting his career otherwise. But Dana is pretty good at getting the fights that fans want to see. Merab versus Umar didn't look like it was going to happen, but he made it happen pretty fast. I thought they dropped the ball a little bit, though, in the middleweight division. I think a lot of fans wanted to see DDP versus Hamzat Chimaev, but they didn't get that done. But there is a decent amount of people who also want to see Strickland versus DDP rematch, and that's what's going to happen. February 8th, UFC 312, Sydney, Australia, main event. Brendan Allen begins training camp for his fight with Anthony Hernandez.
But home camp has started. We'll have a couple weeks here, a few weeks here at home, and go to Florida with Mr. Coach Henry Hooft, Robbie Lawler, all my brothers, Tuco Tokos, Gregory Rodriguez, Bryce Angor, so many other guys, AJ. So, can't wait to be there. February 22nd. We're going to put a show. Also, can't wait to go to Florida to see Coach Wagner. Can't wait to get back in the room with all those guys. But February 22nd. Chip on my shoulder. Best meat that's going to come. I don't give a fuck. I want it all or nothing. I want a redemption tour, baby. Let's go.
Ryan Garcia apologizes for the postponement of this fight. I'm really sorry to announce I injured my wrist during training for my exhibition in Japan. Working on getting it rescheduled. Sorry for any inconvenience, and big sorry to Anpo. You have to wait for your humiliation, but it's coming. Paddy Pimblett says he'll be fighting a tougher and higher ranked fighter than BSD. Paddy's 13, BSD number 12. Ahead of them is Fazeev, Moicano, Dariush, and Gamrot. Somebody told Paddy to off himself like his friend did, but Paddy didn't expose him because he doesn't want to get in trouble.
People are messaging me, asking me to have the person's profile who's just said that on my story. I can't do that because then I'll get reported and my account will get took off me like it has done in the past. So I can't have the person's profile on there even though they're a dirty little rodent.
This was really weird. This fighter won this fight and then his coach gently touches him and he gets knocked out. So yeah, that was bizarre, but he ended up being okay and quite confident too for a guy who just fell over like that.
I'm gonna smash you for sure. Mark my words, baby.
The February 15th Fight Night card, which is headlined by Cannonier versus Rodriguez, has added another fight. It's Jared Gordon versus Kyle Fernandez, who has a record of 1-1 in his 2 UFC fights. Jared Gordon is also 1-1 in his last 2. His last one was a split decision loss to Nasrat Haqparast. Another fight added to next Thursday's Karate Combat card in Miami, Florida. A couple UFC veterans, Rafael Alves versus Kama Worthy. Alves is coming off a crazy knockout victory over James Vick. Vick suffered a seizure following the knockout with Karate Combat, initially reporting he was in a medically induced coma requiring respiratory support. Vick later clarified he wasn't in a coma but experienced delirium from seizure medication, which resolved after 3 days. Medical tests showed no lasting issues. While he was cleared to fight, Vick has no plans to return to competition, which is a good thing. Tatiana Suarez happy that her and Strickland are in the main and co-main event at UFC 312 because they started off in the same gym. Strickland is confident they're both coming home back to America with the belts. Tatiana Suarez will be the next champion, according to Strickland. There isn't one female on the planet who can deal with her wrestling. We'll see if Wei Li has the takedown D to stop that. Both Prochazka and Blachowicz believe that Pereira will beat Ankalaev. That's the next title fight that's expected to happen. Prochazka takes on Hill next month, and Blachowicz takes on Carlos Ulberg March 22nd in London. Jalton Luderbach, who has a wealth of MMA experience, is helping MVP train for his fight February 1st in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia against Shara Bullet. Luderbach was actually supposed to take on Shara Bullet also in Saudi Arabia in June of this year, but ended up being cut even before his UFC debut due to a failed steroid test. And he was surprisingly honest about the situation, stating, "I actually used juice 3 months ago and I had no idea what time with the UFC. I could have hidden in the mountains or gone to Thailand to hide, as many do and are not tested. But I preferred to take the risk as I believe I was clean and fit to fight. I signed the contract 3 weeks ago and so I figured I was in the clear." But he wasn't in the clear. UFC released him and got handed a 2-year suspension, but he's fought since then in Brazil, Russia, and Slovakia. KSW bantamweight champion Jakub Vikwac vacates his belt. He wants to get into the UFC. He's a friend and training partner with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That connection with her may help him get into the UFC easier. Former UFC fighter and LFA champion Carlos Mota is going to be competing on the 30th of this month. The event is KO Climax, and the event takes place in Yokohama, Japan. Kennedy Freeman makes her UFC debut next year. First father-daughter combo in UFC history, Ian Freeman and Kennedy Freeman. Maybe if Frank Mir's daughter continues with MMA, she can get there, or if Brock Lesnar's daughter pursues MMA, she could get there one day. Terrence McKinney lost his wallet at UFC Tampa over the weekend. As long as he's got his passport for his February 1st card in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia versus Damir Hadzovic. Card headlined by Adesanya versus Imavov. Co-main event, Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page, moving up to 185. That's what happens when you have a guy who fights 3-4 times a year versus a guy who fights 1 time a year. Yeah, Buckley is one of the most active fighters on the roster. Colby was one of the least active fighters on the roster, so that definitely worked in the favor of Buckley. I like Colby versus Prates or Michael Morales, get some new up-and-comers, some name value wins, and I get to see Colby beat the hell out of a young welterweight. It's a win-win. Yeah, the UFC may end up using Colby now as a guy to put over young and upcoming stars. Colby, Nate Diaz, Covington, yeah, both those guys in their minds have never lost a fight.